Andrew King is the founder of SGT Limited and a partner with Utility Warehouse. He finds that networking is a great way to build mutually beneficial relationships which lead on to warm referrals. Thank you very much for being my guest on the podcast today, Andrew.
You're welcome. Delighted to be here.
Now, you're working in the utilities space and saving people money on their bills, but what's your background? What jobs have you done in the past, Andrew?
My most recent stuff, I've been managing director of a software game studio where we specialised in the enterprise use of video game technology.
Interesting.
Which is all good fun stuff. So we make simulators and simulation and virtual and augmented reality applications, stuff like that. I had a brief period of about 5 years running my own business, cricket wholesale related. A little stint in the Middle East prior to that. And then I've really been involved in the corporate learning development space from a technical perspective for the majority of my career, probably since my late 20s.
Yeah. So what attracted you to working in learning and development?
I fell into it, if I'm honest. In my late 20s, I went to work for a company in London. Went in as a management consultant to fix some operational stuff. Mm-hmm. They happened to be in the corporate L&D space, and they had some issues with one of their service functions, which they said, well, whilst you're here, could you have a look at that? And I did look at that, and I started to address those issues, and I kind of fell into running a service-based business within that, which taught me a lot about corporate L&D. So I'm not a learning and development specialist personally. I'm a technologist by trade. I describe myself as a non-techie techie. But I fell into the corporate L&D space, and I've been working in it more or less ever since.
Yeah. Now, I understand that you were involved in an interesting project around the Olympics. What was that about?
Yeah, so I worked for a company called Airwave, who was the owner-operator of the secure radio network for our emergency services. Mm-hmm. And they also provided the secure radio network for use around the Olympics, in Olympic Park. So I put together a whole bunch of training programs to make sure that staff were operational on go live.
Yeah, really interesting.
Fun stuff.
I can't believe how long ago that was now, though, 2012.
That's pretty scary, actually. I was just thinking that feels like yesterday, and I just looked at my screen and it says 2025. I'm like, oops.
Now, you mentioned briefly your sport company there. How did that come about?
So I've been working in Saudi Arabia. I was supposed to be there for a couple of years, and it wasn't going well. It was not what I thought it was going to be. So I made a decision to make a hasty retreat. When I got back to the UK with very little idea or any iron in the fire, I happened to be walking down the street in a local town, Beaconsfield, where I bumped into a mate who at the time had a cricket-based wholesale business, and he asked what I was doing, and I said, I'm looking for my next thing, and he said, well, I've got a business, can you come and have a look at it? So I went and had a look at it, and we concluded that we perhaps ought to do something similar but somewhere else. I've been a cricket fan all of my life, so it almost felt like a work-life sabbatical, to be honest. So we formed the Incredible Sports Company. We built an amazing cricket brand, which I'm really pleased and proud to say is still running today, called Gentlemen and Players. It's probably the formative cricket cap brand. Absolutely in the UK, and we've probably got a fair stake of near global domination, to be fair. But I'm delighted to say that my now ex-business partner, we're still close, is carrying that on, and I'm chuffed a bit, so that's still going.
Yeah, fantastic. So tell me about the utilities. How did you get into that, and why?
I fell into that too.
There's a theme emerging here.
So whilst I was working as an MD, an ex-school friend or an old school friend of mine approached me with a business opportunity to become a distributor for a company called Utility Warehouse.
Yeah.
Utility Warehouse being a network marketing based
Yeah.
business. So I had a look, and like lots of people when we see these things, it kind of all feels a bit too good to be true. And I initially said yes. I'll get started straight away, and then within a couple of days, not only was I doing my MD job, but I was also doing a fair amount of pro bono support for my brother's fledgling business at the time. And I didn't really have time for the Utility Warehouse bit, so I closed my position, much to the disappointment of my good friend.
Yeah.
We stayed in touch, however, and having managed to extricate myself from the pro bono activity, reconnected with UW and started again. Now, Utility Warehouse is, as I said, it's a network marketing business, but it helps customers save by bundling a bunch of their utilities, energy, broadband, mobile, and home insurance, for example. And I got quite good at it quite quickly, which started to teach me a little bit about the domestic utility space. There's no requirement, as a side, there's no requirement for if you're a distributor of Utility Warehouse for you to understand the industry at all. We simply show a savings opportunity, and the customer can decide.
Yeah.
I'm of the type I like to understand things a little deeper, so I would read trade and get involved in listening to podcasts and stuff like that. So that's how I got into it. And I've now been a partner with Utility Warehouse for probably coming up for about 3.5 years.
Yeah. So clearly you're enjoying it.
I love it. Now I just about 18 months ago, I was informed by my employer that they were going to shut my business down.
Right.
And I've been doing quite well with UW, and at my next birthday coming up, I'm going to be 55. I've been using UW to help further improve my pension position.
Yeah.
And when I got told that my company was going to close down, finding jobs at the executive level takes a long time, typically.
Yeah.
18 months, 2 years, maybe more sometimes, because we're not typically not applying for jobs that are advertised, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, you know what? I'm not sure I've got the energy or the inclination to go through that again at this stage of my career. I've done well with UW, so I decided that was the avenue I was going to pursue. So I took the decision, and as of March of 2024, I now describe myself as a professional network marketer. And it's all I do. Now, to enhance the offering that I have, I also decided to learn about and become an independent commercial energy broker.
Yeah.
So I do the two things side by side, and they complement each other very well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can refer one side of my business to the other, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. So what kind of, who are your clients? Who are you able to help? Sounds like anyone virtually.
Anyone, yeah. So in the domestic space, that was the piece that started this journey. So helping friends and family, solve some of the challenges that we face today. I mean, if we take a look at April 25 coming up, we've got 6.5% increase in energy, nearly 7% increase in broadband and mobiles coming up. Stamps are going up, council tax is going up, water's going up. It's all pretty doom and gloom.
I got my water bill and my council tax bill yesterday. My husband said, "How much?"
Yeah, there you go, right? And it's painful. and UW offers the opportunity of putting a bunch of those services together. Um, One, making them much easier to manage. You've got a single place, one bill, one website, one password type stuff.
Yeah.
And then from a commercial perspective, I can help anyone from somebody that sits in a small managed office, right the way through to kind of what I would describe as massive industrial.
Mm-hmm.
And I take an approach that I guess because I come from a business management background, rather than an energy or a utility background. From a commercial perspective, I look at things slightly differently.
Mm.
It's much more about not only am I trying to find people the best price, but what are the other solutions that can be put around what we're doing in terms of make things more efficient. That might be a realigning of contracts so that all contracts within an organisation expire at the same time. So you're procuring all in one phase rather than multiple phases, and looking at other ways of becoming more energy efficient, and stuff like that. But it's a complete breadth. I've got breweries as customers. I've got hotel chains as customers. I've got vets as customers. Office blocks and engineering type
Yeah.
stuff. So a good mix of business.
Yeah. And where are your clients?
My clients are all over the country. From a domestic perspective, I've got customers in the northeast, from the northeast to the southwest, to the southeast, to the northwest, all over the country. And we build our business two ways. One, by referrals, from customer to customer. I come to you and say, let's have a look. I would explain that the reason that you've hardly heard of us, Liz, is because we are a referrals based business and we don't spend any money on advertising. We'll go through that whole shebang, and you'll think it's great, and you become a customer. And I say, well, there you go, Liz. I've saved you £1,000 this year. Who from your friends and family can you introduce me to? That I could do the same for. So and then I spin out, obviously, on that side of the network. And then from a commercial perspective, I started simply with my personal network of acquaintances. I do a local business networking in High Wycombe, which has been useful. But I work my entire business on both domestically and commercially on referral, and I don't do any cold calling at all.
Yeah. So was networking something that you had any experience of before you started this business?
Not greatly. I've been to a couple of networking meetings over the years. And then somebody a couple of years ago suggested I attend a breakfast networking thing, which I did. It probably wasn't the right group for me, but I could certainly see from a conceptual perspective how that could work if you could get yourself into the right room with similar types of people. And I genuinely think that all these networking groups are all great amongst themselves, and it's a question of you moving around those groups to find the one that works best for you. And those rooms also change, right? Because you'll get people move in and out of them. So I started just over a year ago, I think, on a fortnightly networking piece, which has been really helpful. It's helped me from a gathering business perspective, but it's also given me other relationships. It's given me a relationship with a PR company, for example, that now do work for me and help get me out there. It's provided me with an organisation that helped me obtain grants and stuff like that. But it's a vital part of what I now do. Both from a domestic and a commercial perspective. And if there's an opportunity for me to go somewhere and press the flesh with a group, if someone invites me to a thing, I don't hesitate. I'm there. Because if it's an hour and a half, well, I don't know unless I go, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
and if I've been and it was no good, at least I've been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the networking that you're doing, is it all in person, or are you doing some online as well?
Only in person,
Hmm.
and that's not because I've excluded online. I have a preference for face to face. I have spent over the years an inordinate amount of time on video conferencing. So if I get the opportunity to be in front of someone, I'll take it. My UW business is a mix of face to face and on Zoom, for example. Um, I might support new partners remotely whilst they're face to face. So it's almost like a hybrid. But I haven't tried online networking,
Hmm.
as I said, and that's not because I've ruled it out. It's just because I haven't.
Yeah. And what do you think the best thing is that you've got from going networking?
I would suggest it's if you can create mutually beneficial relationships for warm referral.
Mm.
So where you have people that take the time to understand your business, and you've clearly taken the time to understand theirs. Um, so that you can make a quality referral
Yeah.
for each other. I've networked with people that says, here, I've got a referral for you, and they throw you a name and a telephone number, and you ring the person up and they don't know who the hell you are.
Yeah.
That's not a referral.
No.
And the best referrals are those where the person that's been referred to you is the one approaching you,
Yeah.
right? I'm talking to you, Andrew, because Sophie has told me all about the amazing work that you've done for her at her such and such business.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's mutually beneficial relationship for referral. I think is the key thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not. Sorry to interrupt. I'm not particularly a fan per se of everyone feeling a requirement to do business amongst each other,
No. Yeah.
because I think it's bigger than that.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that you could go back to being employed by somebody else now, or not?
Uh, no. Short answer. More appropriate answer. I would describe myself as time free.
I like
Um,
that.
yeah, I'm not money free, because I'm only 3 and a bit years into growing my network,
Yeah.
but I have time freedom, which is amazingly valuable.
Yeah.
People say, so do you work full time or part time? I say, well, I work some of the time.
Yeah.
Right? And that doesn't mean to say that I don't do a great deal of work, right?
Yeah.
But if I were to record my active hours, I don't know. It might be 25, it might be 30 in a week, but that is spread across 7 days, right?
Yes.
So I could be, and I regularly am. On a Zoom call, for example, supporting a new partner in my team at 9 o'clock on a Sunday night.
Yeah.
That could be on a telephone call to someone at 7 o'clock on a Saturday morning, or it could be that I'm sat in a coffee shop in Marbella, and I've done this, and I'm doing a supported appointment whilst I'm away on holiday,
Yeah.
because I genuinely can work from anywhere,
Yeah.
and I'm not prepared to go back on that. I don't think, Liz. Now,
No.
having had the trauma of, oh my God, I'm going to lose my 6-figure job, and then thinking about it for 20 or 30 seconds about what I was going to do. There's no going back, and that provides challenges to those around you, right? So you've got those people around you that, well, we're used to you having a salary, and of course I no longer have a salary. My income is entirely built on the activity that I do from a UW perspective and a commercial energy perspective.
Yeah.
And some of that income isn't, well, it's not linear, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And that does create some challenges sometimes. It's like, well, I haven't earned so much this month, but there's 17 times as much coming next month.
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, so that was a long answer to no, I'm not going back to work.
Fair enough. So just one last question then, Andrew. If people want to connect with you, what is the best place for them to find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn, or if they want to find me, or my contact stuff is on my website with sgt-ltd.co.uk.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much for being my guest.
Thank you.
And the best of luck with your business going forward.
Brilliant. Thank you.